Riley. 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 What are you doing? Hey guys, Kevin Woodward's Geeks here. We're gonna start a little early tonight because we're trying out some new audio equipment. So welcome to the stream. We're gonna be printing on the Phrozen Arco. Drop it in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear, or if we gotta tweak some audio going here. Should be able to see your chats. Just getting some new equipment going here. Can you hear me loud and clear? Bear with us as we test out these new microphones. I got a couple new ones in the mail today. We're trying them out. You noticed last week we were a little rough on the audio. Sounds like we got a little bit of lag today. All right. So it sounds like our audio is doing pretty well. So we'll give people a few minutes to come on in. Again, we're here printing with the Phrozen Arco. We're testing out the max build plate volume, width and depth wise. I started a little earlier on some Aether terrain, Aether Studios, getting back to some of our basics. Some of our very first videos on the channel were reviews of Aether's terrain, specifically their Eggnog and Brains Kickstarter. As you can see, we did some upgrades behind us. We got some more of the pegboards up on the wall. We're making some space over here for the Phrozen Arco. That's where its permanent home is gonna be. We got our Dots pretzels here. Tonight's going to be the Southwest Seasons Pretzels Twist blend. I had a couple of these earlier. I kind of want to try these on live, so I'll try to refrain from tasting early. But they're pretty good. But hope everyone's doing well. Mixing up some of our Propel Fitness drink in here. Checking out what we got on the other printers going. Got some cool things going. Got some collapsible katanas on the printers. We got some Halloween things going. Once we get back live here, or I shouldn't say live, once we get going here, I'll turn on the printer cam so you guys see what's on the printer. I don't want to reveal it too soon. We got to talk about last week's print and all the different troubles that we had. So we're going to get started here in about 2 minutes. Give some people some time to get on in, get settled, get their pretzels if they're joining us for printing pretzels. And we'll get things kicked off here. So I hope everyone's had a great week so far. We weren't live on Monday for our mobile edition because it was Labor Day. That's when we did our studio upgrades. We got our pegboards up here. We got our printers reorganized, things cleaned up. We got our pellet bins down here for below our printers so they don't have any clogs anymore. That's been kind of a troublesome. We got some of the overhead things cleaned up. That's just some of the things that we're going to be doing here. Every week, hopefully we'll see an improvement on the live stream. We got our audio here, and hopefully a little bit more cleaned up this week. I went back and watched our live stream last week, and it sounded really faint. It wasn't exactly the quality that I want to put out there for you guys. So, for tonight's live stream, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about last week's print, which we were trying to do some PETG on the new Phrozen Arco, and we were having a little bit of difficulties getting it to stick to the build plate on the live stream. So towards the end of the live stream, we switched out to from eSun's translucent clear PETG that I don't really have too much experience of. I got it in the slicer for OrcaSlicer, but I don't have the recommended print settings. Riley, what are you doing, buddy? Come here, Ryan. Come say hi to everybody. Come here, buddy. Come on, bud. So we switched over from eSun's translucent PETG to Elogu's white PETG, and that turned out great. It stuck to the build plate, no problem. I don't really have any layer lines. It's hard to see on this print. It's great. Layers turned out really good. We got one little spot on the front here that there was a little goober on it, but it's the sheen turned out really nice. Things are very, very, very clean. So after printing this, which is the bust from Eastman, this is the Sub-Zero bust that he's put out there. After printing this out, I went and tried to print out the same thing in some other PETG by Strong Arrow 3D, the blue gradient, and I was also having trouble getting it to stick to the build plate. No matter how much hairspray I put on it, no matter if I used PVA glue on there, I heated the build plate all the way up to almost 90 degrees Celsius to try to get it to stick, and it would not stick. So my suspicion is that, because I don't have this issue with any of my other printers, my suspicion is once we get the enclosure system sent to us from Phrozen, we will be able to print with PETG a little bit easier. I think we'll have better adhesion. So once we get that PentaShield around our printer, we got with our Kickstarter back 2 years ago, we should be able to print no problem with PETG. I fully suspect that when we get that, we will definitely revisit the PETG issue. But for now, I know for a fact, as you can see, proof here, the Elogu Rapid White PETG does work. Just make sure you put some sort of adhesive, whether it's PVA glue, like glue stick, or I use hairspray. Make sure you take your build plate off, spray it away from your machine, then bring it back. We don't want any fires. It's a not recommended method. It works for me. I cannot endorse that for anyone to use at home, just because there is a slight fire hazard when it comes to using anything with aerosol in it. But for that, that's the troubles that we had last week. I mean, there was also another issue that I've encountered that I was surprised by. So the Flying-gantry mechanism, we're gonna have to be careful going forward because with one of those PETG fails that I had, because it actually detached probably about this a quarter of the way up the print when I did the strong arrow blue gradient. I was surprised because on the Flying-gantry, I couldn't figure out why it was grinding, like making a noise, but it was, after some investigation, there was a piece of PETG on the guide rails. I didn't expect to see that up there. So if you're having that grinding issue, make sure you check out your guide rails that the Flying-gantry moves back and forth on, because you may have an obstruction on there. But once I found that out, I was like, okay, cool. It's not a slicer issue, because I actually had re-downloaded the slicer again so I could get that new Arco profile that has the correct start G code in it. So it's not always 200 degrees. And then it gave me that grinding issue. I was like, oh man, did I download it wrong? No. Check your gantry, your Flying-gantry. Make sure there's no obstructions on it if you're getting your grinding sound. That's what I would recommend for that first and foremost. And then if you're still having that grinding sound, then I would say go through and check your settings, make sure you have the right profile for the printer loaded, things like that. If you still are, contact Phrozen. They're super helpful. I messaged them on Discord and they were super helpful for me. So with that being said, let's get into tonight's episode on what we're printing. So 3 years ago now, I became a Patreon member for Aether Studios. Super awesome. I'm a huge D&D fan. I love to play D&D. If you don't know what D&D is, I would recommend going to the Dungeons and Dragons webpage, and then you can find out there's introductory videos on the YouTube there. When I upload this video later, I'll do like beginner's guides, links to different YouTube videos that can explain the Dungeons and Dragons game to you. But why I joined Aether's Patreon was because they provide terrain files for their patrons that work with the make sure I get the Dragon Bite clip systems, and it's a cheaper alternative to terrain, which is used for the miniatures in the game, than say Dwarven Forge. We can print tons and tons and tons of this terrain, where if Dwarven Forge you're paying premium prices for premium product, but this is more of a budget friendly if you have free printers. So I joined them back when I had the 2 S's and then the 2 3s, and I mean I was printing out tons and tons of terrain. Some of the pictures you'll see in the thumbnails when I go to post this video after it goes live, they are some of the creations that I printed and painted for the Dwarven set that they had. But so what we're printing tonight is a file that I reached out to them. They designed this file set. It's the Port Elizabeth file set, and it's basically terrain that represents a port city that's on the ocean, or could be. I think they do remix requests, which is awesome because that's how I got this set. I asked them if they could remix this set for the Wild Space campaign that I was doing, so I could use it as a spaceport on my space mats. So I reached out to Will from Aether Studios. Hi Will, how's it going? Hope you're doing great, man. Doing great things. But I reached out to Will, and he took this and ran with it. So I asked them to do this so that this could be used for different settings and just more versatile for my purposes. But hopefully this Port Elizabeth remix set will be useful for you. Once they get this file out there, I'll put a link in the description of this video after it's uploaded for after live stream purposes. But this file set is a pier system set, and you can use for your cities, any encounters that you may have that are outside of cities, that if you want to use space mats, water mats, even desert sands. It's really cool because you can go in and out. The title of this video is going to be level up your terrain, and it's kind of neat that it's leveling up because we're actually going to bring it down to the flat mat so you can use any sort of underlayment with it. So I'm going to bring it up on the live stream right now here for you guys to see as it's on the printers. So you can see how we've maxed out the build volume with all the terrain pieces, and they're going down pretty well. The first layers have gone adhered great. I mean, I sprayed extra hairspray on them. Not recommended. Do it at your own risk, but it works for me. So this these pieces, when you go to use them, you can use the clips that you can also print to hook them together and create your own cityscapes. I'll put a link in the description real quick. Give me 2 seconds to go to my mini factory. So I can get that link for you. Helps if I spell mini correctly. So get you guys Aether Studios, my mini factories link. You can check out all the excellent terrain that they have there. If you see anything that would be useful for you, or if you have any remix requests and you're a Patreon member, they will do their best to make sure your remix request happens. I want to share this page. I'll drop that in the comments here for you all. Also put it in the description. Of it. It should appear in the video description here pretty soon. Upload this thumbnail like while here. If you're just joining us, we are doing a max build volume for the width and the depth of the dimension of the build plate. We're only going to print something that's about 2.5, 3 inches high, but it is supposed to use just over 1,000 grams of filament. So at some point, it will run on a filament, and I want to see if the filament detection system works. I haven't used that feature yet. So that's exciting. Next level terrain thumbnail loaded up for you guys. Get that going. Hope everyone's still doing well. Again, if you haven't grabbed your pretzels yet, grab your pretzels. We're eating the Dots Homestyle Pretzels Southwest Seasoning Blend. Really good. Peppery, but salty. Yeah, definitely peppery. as we're watching this first layer here, I'm not seeing any of the adhesion issues that I was having with the PETG. So PLA, at least in my experience by far, is the easiest material to print with. There may be others out there that are easier to print with. I just haven't been made aware of them. But the layers are going down great. I don't see any separations in the layer lines, indicating that there's a adhesion issue or an extrusion issue. I'm Momo. Say hi to everybody. But we're doing good. I'm excited. If you guys haven't, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you like what we're printing on the channel here. Going back to our basics, again, our very first video was a video for Aether Studios Eggnog and Brain Kickstarter. You can check that out. You can check out how we've upgraded things, we've learned things as it comes to live streaming and YouTubing. I've started a playlist. This video will be in that playlist later on once we end the live stream and do some editing. But we're doing great. One of the things that I really like about Aether is that they have a very vast, wide variety of different terrains for different environments. You have deserts, you have oceans, you have sky. You've got like Egyptian pyramids. Their pyramids are really cool. You can clip them together and stack them. So there's pretty awesome there. We're printing this all on the Phrozen Arco. So we backed this printer 2 years ago on Kickstarter. The build volume is 300 by 300 by 300. It's a pretty even build volume there. Just a lot of hubbub out there about the new U1s printer by Snapmaker. There's also rumors confirmed by Bamboo now that not only have they released the H2S, but they're also going to release the H2C, which we're excited about here on the Kit channel. But for tonight's live stream, we're focusing on our newest member of our printing family, Phrozen Arco. So far, so good. Our layers are going down great. I don't see any like extrusion issues again. I kept some pretty good spacing between the files for now, just because I don't want to. I want to see how well the printer handles the use of the entire build volume, and then once I get an idea of how well it prints on the entire plate, then I'll really compact the terrain together for another print. But this one's supposed to take 2 days, 11 hours, and 53 minutes. And that's what OrcaSlicer's computation is, not the Phrozen one. That one is going to be over 200 hours. But, all right, hanging out, Momo? Good job, buddy. But so far, so good. I don't have any peeling of the layers off of the plate, which would indicate adhesion issues to me. I don't see any like rough patches on the layers, which may be signs of extrusion. I'm really excited about this. It's I used to, on my Neptune 2S's, I would max out a build plate full of this terrain, just because I would try to print an entire room of D&D terrain, or the entire room's worth of D&D terrain on one build plate. It worked pretty well. Back then with those Bowden extruders, you still see lots of layer lines. The printers that we have nowadays with the direct drive extruders, being the pressure is right there next to the nozzle, you don't get as much as the extrusion, over extrusion or under extrusion issues. So it's super exciting. I don't think I've printed a max build plate since I own the Neptune 4s. Those have been out for 2 years now. Which those had the direct drive extruders, but just been a minute. So when we set up the Phrozen Arco, it was pretty straightforward out of the box. It was our first live stream too. I had the camera sideways. Check out that video. That was pretty fun. But it came out of the box pretty much ready to print. We had to unscrew a couple bolts. We had to put in the Bowden tube or the PTFE tube holder, put on the spool roll holder, and we were printing after calibration. So it was pretty exciting. Another reason why I love Aether Studios so much, I'm a big proponent of how well they treat their patrons. They really care, and you get like one-on-one experiences with them. If you have a request, and more than likely it's feasible for not just you, but for others to use the terrain, that request may get made. I can't speak for every request, but uh, they usually work them in. They have scheduled releases every month, upcoming releases. They have a Discord channel that they let you know what they're going to release and what time of the month it should be there. Also, if you're a Patreon member of them, I do believe you get a correct. Let me go to their Patreon just to make sure that I don't eat those words. I'll post that link in the description. Hope everyone's doing well. It's good to be back after a week off. We'll be back live again this coming Monday for our Print and Pretzels Mobile Edition. We got plenty of upgrades for that little cart and Alfie. Check out our newest short. We took Alfie out on a lunch date to Panera. It's pretty fun. Yeah, so if you are a certain tier higher for Aether Studios, you do get a discount for any of their previous, before you join Patreon, uh, uh, prints. You get Discord access. You can vote in all their polls. Uh, they have some pretty cool stuff. Post that link here. Give me just a second. Aether Studios Patreon. And they do have a free tier in case you just want to stay updated with them on what terrain they're releasing, and that way you can stay with them. And if they release something that piques your interest, if you don't want to be a patron, you can at least be in the know and go to the web store and purchase it from there. So again, this print is going to take 2 days, I think 11 hours and some odd minutes. I can't remember anymore. The fan's really quiet. I actually hear more of the AMS in the background than I do than the fan on the printer, which is surprising of a printer of this size. So what I would call this remix, I guess, when it comes to how to explain it, is I would call this a negative space remix. So D&D, you have positive space, which is from the tabletop up, and then you have negative space, which is everything you put on the tabletop. Slap mats that have different space effects, water mats, or even like dry erase marker mats that you can use. So what this terrain set works with is it takes whatever you have in 2D on the tabletop and it builds off of that. So say you have a 2D mat of desert sand. So you can put this out on the desert sand, and then you have these elevated pier pieces. Try to see if I could find that set so you can get a glimpse of what it looks like. So, what is a bit right there? All right, found it. So this is the set that I asked for the remix of. So the remix is, I believe, not live yet, but we'll be able to get that to you, I would think. So here is the original set on Aether Studios. They're extremely, extremely awesome when it comes to the intricacies of the design. I mean, they worked in the steps, the docks, the ocean water, and even the risers that go on the backside of the pier. I really, really, it's my favorite set of all of them. Shout out to Zillith for designing this set. I'll get this in the description for you guys. Aether Studios original, I can spell, original Port Elizabeth. So what's really cool about that is I wanted it to not only showcase their terrain for them, but also showcase that they really take their patron requests to heart. I'm not a big YouTuber in any way, and I actually asked for this remix before I even met. It was like a beginning days of YouTube for me. So this there's no fame involved in it, no sponsorships involved in it. It was just me being a patron, and they took this request and they ran with it. So I'm very proud of them for that. I'll probably at some point do a painting video of these pieces, how to, of what I'm going to paint in last. That'll be my first paint video, which I'll be excited about. I'll get like a little painting set up here in the studio. I'm a big fan of Craft Smart paints from Michaels. They go a mile. So after we get these first few layers down, we should really start seeing the speed of the printer pick up. So right now it's laying down the first couple of layers, and now it looks like it's doing the beginning of the infill for first layer of the infill. If you don't know what infill is the interior of the piece, and instead of it printing it all solid and consuming a ton of extra material, this will print hollow, and you can set the different percentages of how hollow you want it. I set it to 15% infill, which means 15% of it's going to be filament material, and the other 85% of it is going to be air. These pretzels, they're really good. You get some of the pepper in the back of your throat. It'll make your eyes water. And I'm not talking like hot peppers. I'm talking like just like black pepper. Good. Holy cow. Make sure you have a bottle of water in your back. But shout out to Dodge for their Southwest plant brand of pretzels. They're delicious. So for those of you that are just joining us, or those of you that are uh, still here with us, this build volume, the reason why I chose this specific printer to do this on the live stream, this build volume of 300 by 300 will really let us, I mean, you can print a pretty big room of terrain worth or area of terrain in that volume. Right now you can see the spacing sort of that any of the black build plate that you still see. I could have really maxed it out, but it probably would have taken me a week to print all this. It wasn't unheard of for me when I had the Neptune 3s and Neptune 4s to take 2 or 3 days because I would max out an entire build volume. There had been a few times where the Bowden extruders really let me down on the Neptune 2s, just because it's also partially the humidity. I'd get halfway through one of these room prints, I would call, and they would just, the nozzle would just clog, and then it just goes, it prints air. Walk out in the garage, and it's like, oh, well, that was a waste of a roll of filament. So some of the things you can see that we printed previously, our print pretzels here, you can see them in the corner over here. We did 2 Wolverine busts, a Deadpool bust. Those turned out great. Those are all in PLA. 2 of them, one of the Wolverines was in Silk Gold PLA by Elegoo, and the other one was Silk Red Black by Elegoo. And then we also had a Sunlu Translucent Yellow. So one of the things that I got to experience, because I feel like I was around when it happened here in the 3D printing community, is I want to say between 2016 and 2018, 19-ish, 3D printing really made tabletop gaming accessible to terrain. So you'd be able to get a printer and print out terrain you want for the game that you're playing in. That was incredible. And then printers kept getting better. So we could print faster. We went from the Marlin Clipper, the Marlin Slicer firmware, to the Clipper firmware. It blew my mind. So again, I was on the Neptune 2 S's. Those had the Marlin firmware on them. They could only print about 100, 200 if you had a good day, millimeters per second. Then we went to the Neptune 3s and 4s. I think it's the 4 that had the first Clipper firmware on there. And they advertised you could print up to 400 millimeters per second. And I tried it, and it worked for the terrain. Detail was still good. That direct drive extruder made sure that the pressure was still fine. And that just changed the game for me. And then, once we get the Chroma Kit for this, the game changed again when we went to multicolor printing. So no longer did you have to paint your terrain. You could have it printed in multicolor for you. Yes, that comes with some filament waste, but it also saves you time so you don't have to paint it. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there. Now, I think we're getting ready to upscale the game again, where you're going to be able to multicolor prints for your terrain and not have all that extra material waste with these new printers that come out with the tool changers and the nozzle changers. I think the game's getting ready to be stepped up again for the 3D printing world, which just makes printing your own terrain that much more feasible. So looking at the first, like first 4 or 5 layers, we don't have any elephant's foot, which is where the bottom of the piece of terrain, when it prints, it kind of squishes out like an elephant's foot when it does when it walks. We don't have any lifting, which is where the print will curl up and eventually it won't stay on the build plate. With all these different pieces on here, it really showcases that you can use the entire build volume so far. Well, knock on wood. You can use the entire build volume, and there is no lifting issues so far. So, and the first layer is the most important layer. Our first layer is, now we're with the infill. It looks like every piece has got its first layer of infill, so we should be moving right along here. Yeah, I see the printer head is moving faster, printing at 300 millimeters per second. I'm not doing anything too crazy just because there's so many different pieces. I don't see any like rough patches on the tops of the layers, which would indicate like some heat creep, which is good to see. I don't see any like wisps that come off the printer nozzle, which would indicate moisture in the filament or printing too hot or too. We're printing this in Elegoo's silver PLA. Let me verify that. Front of our spool here. No, it is actually Elegoo's PLA Plus space gray color. So next week, after our live stream, we'll be on for another hour yet. But next week, we'll recap how well this printed out. Did we have any lifting? What is the quality of the terrain pieces? And how their functionality really works. So I'll be able to have them in hand. I'll have a mat on the table, a space mat that I have, so you can see exactly how it works. I'll try to get maybe an extra camera out so I can have a demonstration for you guys. It's really cool to see how this different terrain by Aether Studios is able to be versatile, work for different situations. And since these are negative space, they've also been made to clip into their other terrain with the Dragon Bite clips. Hope everyone's doing well. So just to recap from last week, for those of you who joined us, because we're right about the 1 hour mark. So I want to be able to let you guys know what we did last week. We tried to print with some PETG last week. That was a struggle. I would say even more than a struggle. We wanted to print this model by Eastman. This is a Sub-Zero bus that he has. We wanted to print it out in translucent E-Sun PETG, and because it's Sub-Zero, ice, it would look like ice. But we struggled. We couldn't get it to adhere to the bed. Whether we used hairspray, whether we increased the temperature, it would not print Also, we also struggled with the file length name. So if your file name is too long, the printer won't accept it. So we learned that last week. We also learned that we can print with Elegoo's Rapid PETG whites. So I know that file or that material very well. I had the same settings that I do on my other printers. Printed it just fine. Bed temperature was at 70 degrees Celsius, and I printed it at 245 degrees Celsius for the heat on the nozzle. Turned out great. No layer lines. It is just a beautiful shiny print. There was one goober on the front, but it was just where the nozzle had come off and a little bit of filament had stuck there. That was able to be peeled off. It's nice and shiny. And I had to try to take it a step further. And I tried to print it. I thought I knew this filament too, but I don't know it as well as this one. I tried to print it in the blue gradient filament by Strong Camera 3D. That was the same problem. Couldn't get it to stick. For some reason, no matter what temperature it was almost like it just did not want to adhere. Maybe there's moisture in there, I don't know. Maybe the ambient temperature, because it's not at flows, was an issue. Because I use the same settings, same temperature as I did my enclosed printers, I don't have issues with that. So my theory is once we get the PentaShield that goes around the printer, we'll go back and revisit our adventures in PETG and see if that makes a difference. I'm guessing it will. Something else that's going to be coming for us for this printer is the Chroma Kit, which allows us to print in 4 colors instead of just one. It goes on top, and it's pretty exciting. We backed this printer 2 years ago on Kickstarter, and we're getting it. We're getting reviews out on it for live streams, and so far so good. Other than the struggles with PETG, something else that we learned last week. I'll recap for you guys. This Flying-gantry is different than any of the printers that you see behind me. The Bamboos, PMSs, the Elegoo's and carbons. Their beds all move up and down, which makes their center of gravity higher, so you get more print vibrations in them. So it's important to have your vibration calibration settings correct in them. But with these printers, for the Phrozen Arco, they went through the drawing board and redesigned it. The base plate does not move. It's the gantry that moves up and down. It's got 4 axes, and I like that because it lowers the center of gravity. I don't have near as many vibrations as I do with the printers behind me. But I learned something last week that you have to keep an eye out on your rails, your steel rails, because if you do have a print fail, it's possible that some of the filament can get up on top of those rails and get caught in there, and it'll cause a grinding sound like, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought it was a slicer issue, but it wasn't. So I went back to the drawing board, I re-examined the rails, and that's what it was. It was some PETG that had come up on there, and it got stuck in one of the gears. So if you have that grinding sound, check out your gantry gears, and that's probably the issue. If not, contact Phrozen Support. Really good about helping you out, or you can go to the Phrozen FDM printers on Facebook. I believe they also have a Discord. But we're loving this printer so far. Like I said, the only issues we've had with it is trying to get that PETG to stick to the build plate. So that's exciting. So this guy will add to our collection of prints that we've done. And when we go to art fairs, I'll probably sell these guys for something. Or if you want one of these for yourself, you can join us on our Patreon. And if you're a Patreon member, if you see one of the prints and you like it, we'll send it out to you. Only one though. So yeah. Luckily for the Wolverine one, there's actually 2. I wanted to see what it looked like in a different filament. But David, welcome. Have you downloaded the newest Orca profile Frozen put out this past week? I'm going to try it this weekend. David, yes, I did. Funny story about that. I thought I downloaded it wrong, which was what I thought was causing the grinding sound that I was experiencing when I came to that PETG. But I did download it. It's doing great. The 200 generic setting is gone, and it works fine. I'd say better than fine. I've got all this terrain loaded up onto the printer. I'm maxing out the build plate, depth and width wise, and it's not having any issues with PLA. That PETG, it's rough. I will say it is rough. Once we get that PentaShield, though, pretty sure it's going to be much easier. All right. So we're going to set this guy over here for now. So some of the cool things that we've got on our other printers right now, we've got this cool collapsible katana that also has a fidget spinner on the blade guard, is I think what it's called. We've got some articulated snails that have skulls for Halloween by Cinderwing 3D. We've got some little tiny ghosts from 3D Gob going. He just released some of his Halloween stuff, so we're getting into Halloween vibes. Andrew, welcome. Good to see you. I also downloaded the newest profile today. Printed some new PETG with no issues using Orca small print though. Okay, cool. I do have some Loop PETG, which I use a lot, so that's exciting to hear. So if I need to print something bigger, we can try that out. David says, I hope we get the PentaShield by November. You and me both. I'm hoping. I reached out to Phrozen today. I'll see if they can get it to me early so we can get some of the video footage out for you guys to be installing it. See if we can get that. I'm a backer in like number 290 something. So it might be a minute before I get mine. But maybe since we're putting out some content here, they'll send it to us a little bit early so I can get you guys some previews. No promises on that. But also, something I didn't mention that I've had issues with, I have a PLA that's a glitter PLA. I noticed that also has had issues sticking to the build plate. I think it's any of the non-standard like filaments that require additional like control settings that will give us difficulties when it comes to printing. I don't know if any of you guys play D&D or not, but we're printing right now. There's some terrain by Aether Studios that, man, that pepper from Aether Studios that we had them remix for us. It's their Port Elizabeth set. I'll put that in the description, the chat box again, so you guys can see that. It's really cool. It's a modular design. Having a 3D printer, if you play D&D, makes printing or having your own terrain much more feasible. PLA is much cheaper than Dwarven Forge terrain. But, again, you get what you pay for. I do have some Dwarven Forge terrain, so I do enjoy their products, but I also like printing and painting my own products. Have you guys printed with anything else? Or printed any other items so far with your Frozen Arcos? And if you're joining us on live stream, if you haven't already, smash that like button for us. That gets the algorithm going, gets us out there. And a big subscribe button. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. So far, we're doing so good. I don't see any print issues whatsoever. Again, we're printing an Elogoose PLA Plus Space Gray. And we're printing on the entire build plate, aside from like a 1/4 inch in the back here. But that'll get filled up as it goes out because these terrain pieces can get a little bit wider than what they are just at the base. Everything's adhered well. I don't see any issues on it. I don't see any like wispy stringing indicating filament moisture or printing at the wrong temperature. So Elegoo's PLA profile that is in the slicer works. Oh, Andrew, you were able to print that rocket last weekend, and you flew it? Oh, that's awesome. That is incredible. Flying a rocket. Printing your own rocket and then flying it. Gotta be licensed, gotta be certified. If you're not certified, do not fly rockets, kids. The FAA make them get you. I gotta think of something that we can print that we can assemble and not have to be certified for on the channel. Uh, right now, for Monday nights, we're doing those upgrades for the Alpha card. Actually, something that I'm really excited about. I don't want to give it away yet, but we got a cool upgrade going for that one. It really is going to give Alfie some personality. I'm really excited for it. I did some research and I'm like, how can we make this little guy even more like alive and leave it to the 3D printing world to to come up with some pretty funny ideas. I also reached out to Anchor to see if we can get Alfie an upgrade for his battery pack, so that when we're out on lunches with Alfie, and plug our laptop in and use them for a power station too. I don't think I could do that with the Phrozen Arco because it's too big. I wouldn't be able to lift it and transport it. Now, Frozen, if you ever make a mini version of this character, send it. I will put it on a cart now. Push it around. uh, Small ones okay, but larger ones need to be members of the club. Okay, so Andrew's saying small rockets are okay, but larger ones need to be a member of a club. It went to 1,400 feet. Wow. Did you video it or take pictures? I'd love to be able to view that. That's cool. So just for recap purposes for others joining us on the live stream or later on, one of our members has his own Frozen Arco and has printed a rocket on it and then is certified to have launched said rocket, and it has gone 1,400 feet, and that is incredible. That is if I printed a rocket, it'd probably go 10 feet. I would not know what I was doing. Yeah, if you do have that footage, Andrew, let me know. Maybe we can work in something for when we remix the videos. That'd be cool. I've like, I don't know if you guys ever watch How Ridiculous. They do like the Pina things. I think I'd like to do something like that on our channel here for our members, or our consistent viewers, I should say, because we don't have members yet because we're not monetized. We'll get there though. We'll get there. Those watch hours are going up every week. Every week. So we're right there at the just over the 1 hour mark. So for those of you that are joining us, what we're doing today is we're printing some terrain by Aether Studios, who we are a Patreon member for. And what they do is they take the Dragon Bite clip systems and make terrain for it. If you don't know what a Dragon Bite clip is, that is a piece of plastic that you can print, and it clips 2 pieces of terrain together, and you can make an entire village system out of them, or castles, if you name it. They probably design it, or if they haven't designed it, you can put a remix request in for them. So they do really cool things over there, Aether Studios. I'll drop the Patreon link in here again so that you guys can check it out. If you're still on the live stream with us, sorry about the double link, but we want to make sure we get this to everybody. It's also in the description I put in there. And then here is their My Mini Factory page for the set that we are printing today. Ours is a remix request of this set for negative space. If you don't know what negative space is, it is the tabletop when it comes to D&D terrain. So positive space is everything that builds off of the tabletop, and negative space is anything that's on the tabletop. So whether you have water maps, or you have space maps, desert maps, that's all the negative space, 2D. What this terrain is doing is it's going to build a pier system off of that space terrain, or that sand terrain, water terrain, volcanic terrain. It'll build that pier system off of that, so it'll look like it's a meshing of 2 and 3D. It's really cool. I'll go through and probably do a painting video of this terrain at some point later in the year, once I get my painting station set up down here in our studio. So, hi Riley. You gotta turn this way, buddy. Let's turn this way. Yeah, say hi to all our friends. So that's what we're doing for Aether Studios. You can check them out on their Discord, check them out on their Patreon. They're really, really great for their Patreon. I've been a member for going on 3 years now, and any remix request that I've ever asked them for, and this is before I was a YouTuber, before I'm any sort of, yeah, get down, buddy. There you go. Thank you. For any sort of face on camera, they treated me just like I don't want to say just like everyone else, but they treated me fairly, kindly, with love. Any remix request that I sent their way, it got done, timely manner. It was so cool to see not only that they would send it back to me, but once I printed it, painted it, and sent it out to them, they may even take your picture, if you're okay with it, and put it as their public facing for their listings on their My Mini Factories, or they may use it for other ways. They'll contact you, but that's just another cool thing that they do with their patrons to support each other. And it's a really good community, and I really enjoy being part of that community. So far, so good. Our infill is turning out great. We don't have any peeling of the layers from the first layer. It's turning out really great. This print is going to take 2 days, 11 hours, and some odd minutes. Keep forgetting how many minutes it is. And that's according to OrcaSlicer, not the Arco front panel, which has got a computation issue. But I'm sure that Phrozen is going to fix that in some sort of like firmware update later. But if you're joining us from last week, you may or may not notice we did add some more status panels. We took out those big poles that were right here. So it's a little bit easier to work around our printers. We have the Phrozen Arco's home over here. It's forever home once we're done using it for our display piece and our live streams. Well, that's no time soon. I want to use this live stream on Wednesday nights to showcase our newest members of our family, our Phrozen Arcos, anything else that we may come across, Riley. And that way we can really show the 3D printing world firsthand looks at the machines that we get. Riley, come on, everybody. Come say hi to everybody. Come say hi to everybody. One of the things that I've printed off that's out there for upgrading your Phrozen Arco is a poop chute or a purge chute in the back. It is one file, but it has 3 pieces to it. The actual where the bin is, and then there's 2 clips that slide into it. I thought I was going to have to glue it, but whoever designed the file, I can't remember right now, I'll put that in the description, and when I post this video, it slides in there and locks into place. I thought I was going to have to glue it, but it's very, very well designed. The poop chute on this one is much wider. I think that's due to the Flying-gantry, that design that they've done. So far, so good. I'm super excited. This build plate, I was a little leery on, like, as you get farther out the center of it. Printers in the past that I've had that have had this big of a build plate or bigger. I'm calling out you, Neptune 4 Max. Malibu. As you get out to the edges, the heating of the build plate wasn't as efficient, and it didn't stay up to heat as much as you wanted. This one seems to be doing just fine. I don't have any of the outer layers peeling up just yet. Again, this is going to be on there for 2 days. I'm going to have to put something around the printer so that the cats they don't really get too close to it to begin with, but anything that moves, they kind of stay away from. But I'm really excited for that PentaShield, just for the added protection. I don't need any furry members of our management team getting injured on the job. But I'm really impressed with this printer so far, other than the small PETG issue that we've had. Riley, what are you doing? What are you doing, Riley? We got a comment from Preston. What filament did you decide to print with? Just join the stream. I decided to print with the Elegoo Space Gray PLA Plus. So the reason why I did that is because the base color of the piers I'm gonna print someday or paint someday is gonna be gray. So it's gonna match that base color, so it'll be easier for the paint to show up. You can do it in a darker color if you want more of a, if you want to do it in a black. But this is also, as it builds up, you'll be able to see it. Not so much maybe on the live stream, but you'll be able to see the details in it pretty well. But again, that's the Elegoo PLA Plus Space Gray. So we're doing good. The full build volume, I maxed it out. I didn't get the pieces as close as I could have, but I wanted it to be. Have to change the angles, have to change directions. I wanted to max out everything I could except for the height. So it's handling it great. I'm very impressed. Let's see here. So we got any comments. So one of my favorite terrain sets, other than this Port Elizabeth set, is any of Aether's Dwarven sets. Not to be mistaken for Dwarven Forges, but they're Dwarven temples, they're Dwarven, they have a Dwarven castle. It's really cool. When I went and printed that, or painted that, let me see if I find an example for you all of, should be on my mini factory of things that I have printed. So if you want to see an example of what I have printed, you can check out this link. I printed, painted, and designed, I did not design, arranged this setup with this is all Aether Studios terrain. They do a fantastic job, even incorporating LEDs. Shout out to you, Will. I know you do most of the LED work into this, and it's just phenomenal on what they do. So this is on my mini factory. You can follow me on there, the Glorious Geeks. But this is an example of what I have printed in the past and painted for them. I'll drop it in the comments right now. So you can follow me there. I don't have a too lot on there. I'm not super experienced in painting, but I have picked up some things along the way. But I enjoy painting. Maybe I'll do some painting videos, long form content here in the near future as I print more terrain for the D&D world. We're getting back to basics today. Our very first long-form video content here for YouTube was for Aether Studios Eggnog and Brains Kickstarter. Uh, they uh, they designed this skeleton set that was really cool, and it was our very first video. So you can go back and watch that. We do have an Aether Studios playlist that we have done for them. We'll add this into that playlist once we remix it and re-edit it. So you can look forward to that. But that dwarven stuff is really cool. There's a lot of LEDs that they incorporated into it. There's also a pier system that they have for it. It's really, really beautiful. I'm impressed with all the work that they do. So far, so good. If you're just not joining us on the live stream, we're talking about Aether Studios terrain and how well they design their terrain, how it works together with the Dragon Bite clips. We're maxing out a build volume, width and depth-wise, on the Phrozen Arco of the Port Elizabeth remix that we've requested by Aether Studios for negative space terrain. The filament that we're using is the Elegoo PLA Plus Space Gray color. We're going to be able to test out, it won't be on the live stream, but at the end of this print, towards the end of it, it takes the computer computed 1,074 grams of filament. Supposedly, there's only 1,000 grams on this roll. Brand new roll, we just opened it today. I wanted to be able to test out if the filament sensor works. I have not tested that feature of this yet when it comes to the filament runout. I may be pleasantly surprised, or I may be very sad. We'll find out. I'll probably post a short video on that, like success or failure. I think that's the only thing, other than the height, for this printer that I've not tested out yet. If you have any file suggestions, drop them in the chat here, or in the comments if you're watching after the live stream, of what we can print that'll max out the height of this build volume. That's the next thing that I want to be able to print. It's something that'll max out the height that we'll be able to watch and be able to view for ourselves just how big something we can print. Because this is the biggest width, depth, and height printer that I have. Some of the other printers that I do have the P1Ss, 3 of them. I have 2 Elegoo Centauri carbons and 1 A1 Mini, who's named Alfie. And you can check out our shorts video. We actually, not too long ago, went on a lunch break with Alfie to Panera. That was pretty funny. And a couple of people come up to me and like, this is the first time I've ever seen a 3D printer in Panera. I'm like, well, I don't think that would be too frequent, but you never know. We reached out to Anchor on their Facebook page to see if they would be interested in upgrading our Gen 1 C1000. We did a review video on that for the power bank that right now is, I would consider Alfie's tummy. We couldn't quite fit our laptop plug into that charger port because there's 5 of them on the front. I had to have the power station turned sideways, and it was kind of bulky. The new Gen 2 one that they have coming out is 14% smaller. It's supposed to be a little lighter, and I think it'll make a difference when it comes to transporting Alfie. Because we're going to start taking him to places like here in Ludington, Michigan. We have a really cool pier that we can walk out. I got to get out there soon because the winter's coming. But we'll do out there. Maybe we'll shoot some video footage out there with Alfie. Maybe if I can get service out there, maybe do a short live stream out there with him. That's our Print and Pretzels buddy on Monday nights. You can check us out there on Monday nights. we're doing pretty good. Our live stream buddies on Wednesday nights here. We have Momo, who is our studio box inspector. You can check out our unboxing of the Carbon, one of our first videos. We also have Riley, who is our orange kitty cat. He is checking everything on here, making sure everything's kosher in the studio. And you'll see the elusive Kilala every once in a while. She'll make an appearance. And then you have Dante. You'll probably see him sleeping up on top of the printers. Just so everybody's aware, we do have ventilation in here. We do have a vent up here that pushes air in. We have other ventilation down here in the studio that allows for fresh air intake, and our friends are safe from toxic fumes. If we have to print anything that requires ABS or anything that has like super toxic fumes, I do take that out to our garage and I'll print it out there, just because I care about our little fur friends. If you like what we're doing here on Printing Pretzels, you believe in what we're doing, you can check us out on Patreon. We're over there chilling like a villain, doing our thing, giving our little fur baby some treats. No, I'm kidding. I got that covered. No. What our Patreon is just a way for everybody to support the channel if they want to. We're super excited to be here doing the things we're doing, and I just really love the 3D printing community. We can't figure something out on our own. We can reach out, and for the most part, people are very helpful. I truly value that about the 3D printing community. Shout out to Uncle Jesse. He's a very big player. He's my inspiration for YouTube. I started watching him 3-4 years ago, and finally working up the courage to get out here and try it myself. But if you have any suggestions on things we can print on this, or any speed test or things you want us to see if we can try, or maybe if you want us to shoot some footage on live stream footage on one of our other printers, we can definitely do that. One of the big things that I would recommend, if you're a fan of IKEA, the SCADA system they have, there is an AMS riser, and I'll put that in a link on our page for the P1S. It has changed the game for me. I just finally got around to putting it on our printers. I'll probably do a video for that pretty soon. I can put an AMS on the side of my printer now. It is crazy with the SCADA. I have to put it up towards the top of the panel, but it's on there, and it has changed the layout of my printers for good. If you haven't done so, hit that like button and smash that subscribe. Hit that bell notification to get notified when we go live. That really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm, getting us picked up on a channel. Thanks for Aether Studios to doing this file remix request for us so that we can get this out there so people can see. Love us some Dungeons and Dragons. Haven't played in a minute though, unfortunately. The newborn here, it's that dad life is creeping up on me. So far so good on the layer adhesions. The infill is going really well. I don't see any issues with the infill layers. It looks really clean. I wish I had a top view camera. Maybe that's something I can do here later on. It's an upgrade. I don't know how once the PentaShield gets here. I'll probably do that after the PentaShield. But it's everything is adhering. There's no lifting, no elephant's foot. It's great. Maybe once we get this test done, I'll go back and I'll print them again, and I'll see if I can't crank up the speed. Maybe turn this 11-hour print, or 11 hours, 2-day 11-hour print into like a 1-day 12-hour print. That would be nice. I'm not feeling any like vibrations from the printer, so that's a good sign. I really like that Flying-gantry. And that low center of gravity is awesome. I wonder how much of a difference it makes in the vibration compensation. If you haven't, you can check out the Phrozen Arco. Let me get that link for you guys on the Phrozen Arco or Phrozen website. They do have it on as a listing now. That's good to see. Ready to read it. Price point's pretty decent. I believe it is right there at, oh, I go to the US store. Yeah, it's right at $7.79. So for a 300 by 300 millimeter build volume, that's not too bad. I think that puts it right around the P1S price point. Get a bigger printer, but they don't have their color system out yet. We'll get that Chroma Kit out pretty soon, I would think. Excited to see that. They'll also be having the PentaShield, which is the enclosure, coming out soon. That'll be hopefully next month or so, I would hope. Hoping they really get that out there to their backers. Now that from what I can tell on the Facebook site, most of the printers have reached the backers. If you are in the on the live stream, you are a backer and haven't received it yet, drop it in the comments. I'm curious to see if there's anybody on our stream that doesn't have their printer yet. And where you might be located. If you're curious on here on Print Pretzels, what we do. We print things, we talk about things, but most importantly, or least importantly, we eat pretzels. Tonight's flavor of choice is the Dots Homestyle Pretzels Southwest Blend. A couple of times the pepper has gotten to me. It's pretty good. Not sponsored anyway by anyone. We're just chilling, eating pretzels. Very, I like it. I'm just surprised by the pepper every time. Good way, good surprise. So I'm gonna drop this in as a bowl. If you would like for us to do a live stream with a mid-print, and what I mean by mid-print is instead of just watching the first couple of layers like we have been doing in the live stream, would you like us to have something like already on the printer, already going when the live stream goes live? That poll is out there. Let me know what you think. That way we can get something, especially maybe if we do that large print test and it's going great, I can start that early and start the live stream to where it's right at the end. I'm like a success live stream or fail live stream. Oh, feedback's coming in. Feedback's coming in. We got 100%. So mid prints seem to be an interest so far. That's exciting to see. I did have some issues the other day with that PETG. That was troublesome. But it gave us a good look at how difficult PETG can be on this printer. My suspicion is because I have all my other printers are enclosed except for the A1. I haven't printed with PETG on that one yet. But they're all enclosed, so I'm wondering if the enclosure being on there makes a difference with, the environment and adhesion. Awesome, awesome. We're getting some good votes. We'll get some mid prints going then. We do that large form factor of, oh, maybe I can print like a Mandalorian helmet or something. It needs to be something as tall as the printer can go. Hey, buddy. Hi, buddy. You coming to say hi to everyone? Everyone, this is Dante, our resident lemur cat. He lives climb. So, I, so I haven't printed terrain in a good minute, I would say, probably at least a year. And to see these newer printers and the quality, it's it's very awesome to see. Now get down, buddy. Um, the I started out on the Neptune 2S's from Elegoo, and even with those with the Bowden extruders, you could see the layer lines. Even if I had a perfect print, you could still see layer lines. I'm looking at even the first few layers of this, and the level of detail is it has changed so much just in 6 or 7 years. Not 67, but 6 or 7 years. It it has changed the game. I can't wait for multicolor for this machine. And these other machines, yeah, we have the purge that we have to think about, but I think this industry is going towards trying to solve that problem, whether it's with a loop recycler, which I don't know anything about. I've seen that advertised earlier today, uh, with recycling the filament waste into new filament, and or the tool head changers or the nozzle swappers for the different machines that are coming out. It is going to be interesting to see where the industry that we're in goes. I can't wait to see, like I said, the Chroma Kit that comes out with this and see how they design that. I know that it's supposed to be some sort of like four tubes, kind of like you have with the A1 Mini. But will Frozen decide to upgrade it to something to stay? This is their first entry into the FDM world. Will they release this machine and then say, okay, we gotta design something like uh, the rest of the industry is doing, or what will they do? I'm very happy with this printer. The build volume is exactly what I need. When, when I go to print things, sometimes I have to slice my file and or cut my file and print it on multiple printers. Or if I want to print a bunch of different things, like our fidget spinner katanas, I can only print 4 of them on a build plate because it only fits 4. With this one, I can fit 6, which is, it only adds like 2 or 3 hours to the print time. But for cost effectiveness, when we go to sell them, it, it makes more sense to be able to get more on the build plate. So it's exciting to see where it's going. The different things that the different printer companies come up with. It's so cool to be able to, just as a consumer, to see, to watch what they put out there. I watched that video by Snapmaker on Kickstarter and the content they put out there for that. To have this many people involved in 3D printing is very exciting to see. For those of you that have the Frozen Arco, when you load your filament in and you start a print, do you have to make sure that as it starts to extrude, you have to push the filament in? I've had that issue a couple times now, where I'll go to print, but if I don't do that, it'll print air because the filament can get caught by the extruder gears. Preston says, I agree that the printers have come a long way, but many of the folks sculpting and creating models have upped their game. Andrew says, loading new filament, yes, needs to be pushed in. Okay, so I'm not the only one that has. I think that excuse me. I think that problem will be solved once the Chroma Kit comes out. It'll be the automatic filament system that goes. Uh, Preston, when you say folks sculpting and creating models about their game, you mean like the level of detail in their models? Because I know with Aether Studios, I feel like their level of detail has been very consistent throughout the years and is up. Yeah, excuse me, that pepper. Whew. Their the level of detail in their models is up every year. Yes, and taking into account how they will be printed. Yes, I agree. I also so like Cinderwing, when I print out her things, she specifically designs things to be printed without supports, which is so much easier for me as a 3D printer person uh, to just be able to throw it on the slicer and away it goes. Even if the slicer gives me an error, I know that she's designed her file so well, and or Aether Studios have designed their files so well because I've seen the same error that I can just ignore it and it'll print just fine. Like when I loaded these, they said that there was overhangs that wouldn't print. I know because I printed so many things with Aether Studios that I don't have to worry about that error because it's just the slicer not identifying like that human factor of design. I would have to say. I think one of the things that some of the file creators that are started working on is the orientation of their file when they send it out to us. I've noticed some of the folks that I print things with that are newer, uh, they I'll have to reorient it in a slicer so that the supports, aren't needed, or it'll print better with fewer supports. But those that have been in the game of 3D printing longer, I don't have to do that with. So I think it's just experience that creates that in the artist. Went ahead and end that poll now. So it does look like we'd like to see some mid prints in the live stream, so we'll get those going. I'll figure out what we can get printed on here in the next one. Maybe I'll print some of I can print some of the risers for these next week so that we can really see what they look like. That way we get a whole set out of this. I'm very happy with this. The level of detail that is in this. The space grade filament has a little bit of a shininess to it, and I can see already on the prints that shininess on the edges. I wouldn't say it's as shiny as silk PLA, but it's right there. So far, so good. Again, we're putting at 300 millimeters per second. I didn't want to go like too crazy fast, uh, just because we're maxing out the build volume, width and depth wise. maybe my next print, that's what I'll do. Max out the build volume, depth, and I want to say 500 millimeters per second, maybe 600 was the good speed and not losing any quality for this printer so far for me. Uh, Different materials and different prints will be different qualities, but so far that's my sweet spot for printing speed. If I'm trying to get a fast print, I haven't shaken it off the table yet, though, with how fast I print. If any of you have printed with this printer faster than that, please let me know what material you printed in, because I would love to be able to. It's advertised that this can print at 1,000 millimeters per second, which is insanely fast. I haven't figured out what material can keep up with that yet. If you guys want to follow us on Facebook, I can give you our Facebook link real quick. See what we post on there and what prints we've been doing. Yeah. Preston's asking, what nozzle sizes are you using? I'm using this standard 4 millimeter nozzle that comes stock with the printer. I don't think that we have any other nozzle sizes yet for this printer. I could be wrong on that though. I wasn't given any with the Kickstarter, just the one standard stock nozzle. I haven't had any clogs yet though, which is I'm very grateful for. I'm curious to see if any of the printing community, I haven't looked in the last couple of weeks. Let's go to say principles and search for Frozen Arco if anything else pops up now. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna have to print this out. So now there is a webcam mount for the Frozen Arco for the top. I was just talking about that. I don't made this design for adding an additional webcam to my Frozen Arco. This file is made by GeoJDK. I'll put that in the description here in just a second, or in the chat. It might be usable without the Chroma. It might only be usable without the Chroma Kit mounted, because they don't have the Chroma Kit yet. But it's really cool. I'll probably print this out just for this live stream. Andrew says, Rosa mentioned it in a comment. To get really high speed, you need to use the included Bondtech CHT nut. Oh, I do have that. I do have that. It's in here somewhere. In one of the toolkits that I got. The nozzle really makes that much of a difference? I would have thought it would have been like the tolerance is the material. Hmm. I'm like cooling it down. Because if we were printing at 1,000 millimeters per second, would the PLA have enough time to cool down before the next layer got put on top of it? Curious. That's fast. And it's just not sure guessing it melts faster than nozzle. I can imagine it melts faster for sure. That's probably one of the issues that has to be conquered. Is how fast the material melts being pushed in the flow. I guess you could get faster cooling down if you put more fans on it though. And it does have a pretty big fan on the back of here. Right now it's not even going. So it's not needed right now. I'm excited just to have a printer this big, capable of multicolor printing. It's gonna be nice to be able to do bigger build volume prints. So like when I go to do a build plate print, is what I call it, I guess, on P1Ss, I'll max out the build plate so that I'm not wasting as much color. To be able to do that on this machine when the Chroma Kit gets here would be awesome. It means anything I can print in 4 colors, I can put on this plate instead of one of my other machines, get more for my buck. And still have the same amount of filaments. How's the audio been for you guys tonight? Has it been clearer than it has been? We're trying out some new audio equipment here in the studio. Got us upgrade and checking it out. Learn how to use Streamlabs, OBS, eating our Dot home style pretzels, chilling with our furry management team. Thank you for that feedback, Andrew. I see you back there. I see you back there. Oh, you were just thinking, Preston said, I was just thinking how it sounds good. Was expecting to hear more printer noise. Um, yeah, the printer that's behind me, the LG Sensory Carbide, is probably the loudest printer I have. So if you're not hearing that, that's exciting. Very exciting to hear. And it's weird. So I got this one was the first one I got, that first wave of printers. And it's louder than the second one that I got, which was in like the third wave of printers. So I don't know if they changed like the fan housing or how it's been designed, but it is notably quieter. But by far, my quietest printer right now is this Phrozen Arco. I can hear the P1S is rattling. Definitely can hear the Centauri Carbon rattling. But the only thing that I can feel and not even hear is the semi-small vibrations that I'm getting from the printer. However, I think I can combat that if I could probably get a couple of my rubber mats from Lowe's, rubber pavers from Lowe's, and I don't think I'd feel those vibrations at all. I think that the lower center of gravity really makes a difference. Doing pretty good. I actually think this is the cleanest I've ever seen infill. Not that I sit there and watch infill, but it is very. I'm very excited to see how it's turning out. But it's got to keep it up for 2 whole days. I don't. I don't think I've ever printed anything for that long. The last long print that I did was that Rainbow Dragon Egg, which took 37 hours, but not that didn't cross the 48-hour threshold. This is going to be closer to 48 hours plus 11 is close to 60 hours. We're putting some hours on our printer. So today is Wednesday. 60 hours from now, sometime on Saturday it'll finish. If I calculated that correctly. That's exciting to see. I don't think I've had any of these printers running for that long continuously. So we're putting this one through the work. Curious to see if we use the same audio system setup in our print pretzels on Monday nights with the hotel. I wonder if it'll pick up the echo in there. I mean, there's nothing in there. It's just a bed. In case you're wondering what that live stream is about. So with the return to work orders, I used to work remotely, so taking 3D printing on the go. So on Monday nights, and we do printing pretzels. We upgrade our A1 Mini Alfie and make mobile printing as efficient as possible. So this coming week, if it gets here in time, I'm doing a special upgrade to give Alfie more personality. I'm hoping it gets here in time, but if it doesn't, we will be upgrading the cable chains and trying to figure out how to best get that AMS system onto the cart. Because what I've been struggling with that is it's the SCADA system just like this, but the SCADA system is thinner because it's metal sheet. So I'm wondering if zip ties are the answer, like industrial strength zip ties, to hold that up on there. I thought I had a file, but it doesn't work as well as I was hoping. Or should I put the filament AMS on a light underneath the cart? But then I can't put the battery pack in there. So we're figuring it out live together. Exciting times. So that way we can take Alfie on tours when we go different places, different craft fairs we do. The 27th of this month, we'll be going down to Pentwater, Michigan, and checking out things there. I'm going to see where we can take Alfie and take him on a tour. Drop a final poll in the chat. Should we do a height? I can spell that right. Test for print volume next week. So that way it'll give us that we tested the max with depth. We pushed the speed, tried a new filament type, I think that's the only, unless somebody else is aware of any other tests that we can do. And I love printing with this machine. I think that's the only test that we have to, that I haven't, basic test I haven't done for this is the height. And that way, so if we're going to do a mid print, we're going to do it on Wednesday. It means I'll have to get the file loaded up by Sunday. So if you have any file suggestions on what we could print, we'll do a, I don't know what I could print. If you have any suggestions on what height I can print, like decorative or like functional, like cosplay armor or something cool we can hang up in the studio here, send it to me at thegloriousgeeks01@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat. So, geeks01@gmail.com. And send me the link to the file, and that way I'll get it. gloriousgeeks01@gmail.com. Send your file request there. If you have a color suggestion, we can, or filament type. We're going to try to stay away from PETG, so probably just PLA for now. But if you have a filament color or silk, we can definitely do that. If you want to try a new brand of PLA, let me know. We'll try that. I haven't had any experience with Hatchbox in a while. I haven't messed around with Hatchbox filament in a couple of years. We can get some frozen material, their PLA, order some of that. I've not used that yet on their printer. David Walton, have you tried TPU in the Arco? David, I've actually never printed with TPU, so I am a very beginner when it comes to that. But I am willing to try it. I know it's the squishy material. Maybe we can print a shoe on here one day. No, let's print a pretzel at TPU. Squishy pretzel. That would be fun. Don't let me forget that idea. That would be really cool. Max out the build plate volume with TPU. I wonder if we'll be able to print in TPU with the Chroma Kit, because then we can actually color our pretzel with TPU. I'll have to look up the how toxic it is, like the fumes, to see if I have to print it on here, in the studio here, or if I got to take it out in the garage and print. Maybe we can do a live stream in the garage. So a few things that we learned last week, just to recap everyone, wrap up the live stream here. A few things that we learned last week with the PETG were, other than the Elegoo Rapid PETG, the white that we used, we had troubles getting it to stick to the build plate. My theory is that because we don't have the PentaShield enclosure yet, that the variables of PETG will be much more controlled in that environment, because I have no issues printing with any of my PETG in these other enclosed machines. Something I did learn inadvertently last week, or after last week's live stream, is if you get a grinding sound from your printer, check your linear rails to see if there's any filament stuck on for this printer. I had some PETG on there, and that's why it was grinding. Some other stuff that I learned, it was that filament, you have to push it in every time you start a new print. If you're not there, it may not grab the filament. That'll be fixed, I'm pretty sure, with the Chroma Kit when it gets here. So we've learned that. Really enjoy doing these live streams with everyone. We're eating our pretzels, trying new ones every week, trying to expand our variety. We also learned last week that there is, if you're haven't got the OrcaSlicer from Phrozen, they have a new G code update in there so that every print you start doesn't automatically start at 200 degrees Celsius. So that's something we upgraded throughout the week here. And I believe we're just scratching at the beginning of what this printer can do. Next week, we're going to be planning on putting a height test for this printer. We're going to try to max out the build volume. I'll use the slicer to figure out exactly how high we can print. And just to recap, you guys, we're printing Aether Studios terrain. If you are a fan of D&D and you like to print your terrain, go check them out over there on My Mini Factory. You can get it, sign up for their tribes, or you can sign up for their Patreon. They have a Patreon link. That's where I support them. It's on Patreon. They take remix requests. They have, if you have a setting that you want to design terrain, want terrain for it to print, they probably already have it designed. If they don't, they do take requests. They've been big supporters of mine for the last 3 years. Even without the YouTube channel, they really care about their patrons, making sure that they bring their ideas to life. You can check us out on Patreon. If you want to support the channel, check us out here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you like what we're doing. And until next time, guys, be glorious.